What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back today with another Danmachi video. And guys, we have the new EX7 zones. I haven't really talked about these much. Early on, we were a little worried. We were like, okay, maybe this would be like an advanced difficulty. No, it's literally just more health. I would have loved for them to come back and been like double ailments again. They did that for a little bit, and then they just kind of fizzled. I would love for this to have actually been a challenge, to be completely honest with you guys. But simply put, it is not. That's not really what this is designed to do. But let's talk about what you can do to actually fast track your win every single week. We talked about it last year when the anniversary water team dropped, and they just wrecked 7 Zone. The very hard 7 Zone, they just ruined it. It was no longer a challenge. It really was just you auto-run the same team every week, and we're back into that situation once again. So if you have the anniversary light team, you can actually ruin this event with absolute ease. And actually, the team that I built here, I built specifically for single target, but you'll see that I've got the Aphrodite assist on here, or I say assist, Aphrodite adventure on here, and the whole point in that unit is really to give us a little bit of more, more AOE damage. Now I am running the Felice here that does single target, but obviously for the for AoE, you'd want to swap that out for the Aphrodite that does AoE damage. Other than that, this team should look extremely, and I mean extremely, familiar to you. Now, the kind of exceptions here. We are going to sack Haruhime. The light Haruhime is going to be gone. We don't need her healing. We're going to wreck this so quickly it's not going to be a factor. In fact, the only unit that isn't going, that actually will need healing is Bell, and Bell can actually heal himself. We'll talk about how that's a thing here in a moment. Now, Memoria-wise, literally just kind of like we would do every other single time, we're going to run the late game strength, the late game light attack damage, and the SA gauge boost. The whole reason to do that is because we want some early damage out here. Now, if you build this right, you could auto-run this. Now, this is going to be specified for single target, and I'll explain the difference and how the AoE team will most likely be able to address this. Now, we'll come back and we'll readdress this with the AoE team and talk about how you could probably build two teams, or build one team that could do all of the above, really. Actually, the only thing you'd have to do to build a team that could do all the above, most likely, is just remove the Felice assist that does single target and put in an assist that does AoE and single target. Unfortunately, the best assist for that I don't really have at the moment, so I'm going to kind of just continue with the single target assist for now, and I'll show you how quickly we just destroy this. Now, you have to do this within 15 turns, which is a lot of turns, and we probably won't need that many, to be totally honest here. Now, I'm going to turn icons on because I want to pay attention to this. Now, coming out of the gate, now my skill flow is a little messed up because I had another team here, so I'm going to kind of readjust the skill flow a little bit. So Lazar's going to come out of the gate with his skill 1, and we're going to do skill 3 with Fianna. That's going to give 33% of SA gauge charge. But wait, you say to yourself, Haruhime's does that too. Yes, it does. But Haruhime also gives us an AoE resistance buff. It's going to give us a bunch of other stuff. The really nice part is this actually buffs Fianna's damage. It gives her light attack damage plus 100%. And every subsequent turn, at least for 3 turns, she's going to go ahead and do a buff-debuff replication, which we're going to need since Haruhime is about to leave. Finn, on the other hand, just needs to do his buff. That is a skill 2. And we're going to move on with our day. Real easy, real straightforward. Okay? Now, like I said, light Haruhime, gone. Now, in comes Aphrodite. Now, Aphrodite's going to do her skill 1 for AoE resistance. Now, remember, single target is going to be our biggest focus here, but it's not really like the most important thing to really pay attention to, because what the goal here is to build one team that we could just auto-run for all of this and get out, you know, like just an easy win. So we're going to go ahead and do her AoE debuff. Remember, skill 1, Lazar also does a single target debuff, so you got basically everything covered there. Now, Lazar's going to move on to skill 2. That's going to give us some debuff replication. That's going to give us just give him his general build stack. And then both Fianna and Finn are going to move on to their big single target attacks. Now, if you were in an AoE situation, Fianna would go to skill 2, and that's her big AoE. But since we're a single target, she's going to do basically skill 1, which is single target. Okay? So, worst case scenario, you could build one team that has 2 different skill flows. That's a possibility. Or you could just probably do Fianna's AoE, and it would just take a couple extra turns. If even that, to be honest with you, I don't know if that would even be the case. I haven't really tried it. I've just focused on single target here. But let's go and continue on. Now, Fianna's going to continue doing her single target here. And Bell's going to come in and do his skill 1. That's going to just basically start his buff stack off. Lazar's going to go back here and do his big single target. And Finn is going to do his SA. Finn's SA is going to give everyone a bunch of buffs and 66% SA gauge charge. So, considering that Bell doesn't really have an SA gauge charge at this point, this is then going to become that. Now, the real downside of Finn's is that his doesn't really actually happen until turn 4, honestly. And Bell is probably going to be faster than Finn, so it may not even be active until turn 5. But it's going to be all right. It's really not the end of the world, to be totally honest here. Okay? Now, and in reality, if you're really worried about that, if you want a little bit faster AoE, or a little faster SA with him, you could do Fianna's skill 3 on turn 3. I prefer to do it on turn 4 here. And with Bell, we're going to go ahead and jump into his skill 2. Now, here's the deal. Bell sometimes takes a little bit more damage than this. And he'll actually probably take a decent amount of damage in this turn. But his skill 2 gives him 30% heal. So if Bell ever starts to take too much damage, he can just heal with his turn. Everybody else has enough buffs and debuffs that they don't really need to worry about it. Bell's the only one that kind of really doesn't have the AoE damage, the AoE damage buff skill. So, or AoE reduction buff skill. So really, we're going to rely on skill 2 to give him some healing, which he'll rarely need. But he from time to time he may need it, but rarely. So, we're going to go ahead and do skill 2. Now, honestly, you could spam skill 2 for the AoE and be just fine. But once again, because we're single target, I'm going to move on to his skill 3 after this. Now, everybody else is going to kind of go on to their big single targets once again. With the, I say Lazar and Finn will. Fianna's going to go ahead and do her extra skill here. That's going to get buff debuff replication out. And once again, Bell's doing his skill 2. Or, yeah, skill 2. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It's really not that hard to follow. Totally honest here. This is about as easy as it gets. All right? All right. Now, on this next turn, we're basically just going all single target. Now, in fairness, if you are AoE, both Bell and Fianna have big AoE skills you can do, and that would help you out. But since this is the single target build, we're going to go single target damage. Once again, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Okay? Everything looks pretty good here. Now, we're starting to get some debuffs on our team, and we want to make sure those debuffs really don't drag us down when we do our SA. So we're going to have to keep an eye on, like, Fianna here has a strength magic debuff. Finn has a strength magic debuff. Those are all for one more turn. Not worried about that, but we are going to keep an eye on that for when we do start doing our SAs. So, once again, now Bell has 2 turns left on Indomitable Sword, so turn 7, I could rebuff that. I probably won't, only because, truth be told, we're about at the end of this match anyway. So, I'm going to go ahead and just keep doing big single target attacks. There we go. Now we've got a double SA. The goal here would be to build up to a quad. Let's keep going. Okay. Now, let's see. Do we have any debuffs in play? Does it actually not look like we have any debuffs on our team, Bell? No, everybody looks good here. So, once again, big single target attacks. Fianna's the only one I'm really worried about. Her extra action is only going to go off this turn. And then, let's see, buffs are good for at least 3 turns. Debuffs are probably good forever. Yeah, debuffs aren't going anywhere. So we're not really worried about that. So let's just go ahead and continue on with just all big single target attacks. So skill 3, skill 1, skill 3, skill 1. So on and so forth. Now, from this point on, we're kind of on diminishing values because until Fianna gets her SA off, we're not really going to have any more buff debuff replication. So we really need to get that here before too terribly long. All right. So once again, all big single target attacks. And once again, you can kind of see why this is easily spammable. There we go. Now, in theory, you could throw a little bit lighter, armaments on your team, and then give your team a little bit more counterattack. Because you'll notice here, we don't want to quit. Let's turn icons off, please. Thank you. You'll notice that we've got what? Well, half-ish health. It is what it is. I'm actually to go one more turn with single target and see if we can get out a quad with these guys, because I think that's going to be kind of our optimum situation. With the old build that I had, you could do a quad on this turn, but it wasn't what I would call optimal. But the other thing to consider here is, notice like Finn is taking a decent amount of damage, and the honest to goodness truth is, in all this, the goal is obviously to wipe out our opponent as fast as humanly possible. So now we're going to do a quad. That's going to get just an insane amount of damage. Okay? Remember, Lazar does a single target earth attack. It's not the strongest attack, but it will be quite nice. But he does do 100% strength and magic to everybody. Fianna's going to give everybody 100% light attack damage. Belts has a really crazy AoE attack here. 2.4 mil, we've seen better out of him. Let's see if Finn's is actually stronger in this situation. And Finn's is actually slightly stronger now. There are situations where Bell's stronger than the situation where Finn's stronger. So, here we go. And with our counters and everything on this turn... Ooh, we're not going to get counters. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and just do single targets again. If I had had a little lighter armament on my guys, we would have had some counters there and would have been nice, but there we go. Turn 11 finish, and honestly would have been a lot faster had I gotten some extra counters out. Honestly, probably what I could do is on Bell put like a level 60 stun anklet. Everybody, by the way, is running stun anklets that all they ever seem to do is stun. So then once you have your stuff built here, you can just go in here and save all previous skill flows and then save, and you've pretty much got the situation ahead of you. How have I not done treasure hunt today? I'm going to choose Anya. Let's see what we get. I've been wrong every single time. So that's pretty much that, guys. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Now I've got a skill flow that I can see. I should have picked Riveria. Now I've got a skill flow that I can... And, what's Anya going to be? Third place? Part of the course for me. Yep. Should have picked Riveria. Anyway. That is going to be the video. Now you've got a skill flow you could build where you could just like auto run this every time there's a single target. Once again, you could probably run Bell's AoE and Fianna's AoE. And honestly, with their counterattacks, if you put level 60 armaments on them, most likely, even with their AoE attacks and the skill flow, you'll probably still be able to close this out. It's just because I have fully ascended equips on them that they're just a hair slower. But that's going to be the video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments section down below. Like, comment, share, and I'll be back with more Danmachi for you guys here really soon.